Hello and welcome. And today I am diving straight in with if you are someone who is 5'4" and under and you're eating around 1400 to 1550 calories, but you are not losing weight, this is the episode for you. Because here's the thing, for many short women, 1500 calories actually should work. It's not on the overly extreme level. It's not a point of starvation. In most cases, it is a reasonable deficit. So when it's not working, or when women find that they're not making the progress that they want, there's this story or assumption that becomes my metabolism is broken, or I need to cut my calories down lower to 1200 calories. And this exacerbates that cycle. You might know it. You might be familiar with it. You cut your calories lower, you end up hungrier, you get more tired, your movement drops, your evening gets harder, and you start to get hungry in the evenings and you feel like you want to overeat. Then you feel like you failed, and then you go into this all or nothing mindset of like, well, I'll start again tomorrow. And you just kind of get stuck in this repeated cycle. But for most people, 1500 calories isn't the issue. It's really important to know and understand that for shorter women, the margin for error is a lot smaller. So the individual levers, let's call them, matter more. The way you structure things, the way you do things matter more. And if one of those moving parts is leaking or not working in your favor, then 1500 calories won't create a visible change, even though like on paper, it should. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through why this happens and the key areas that most short women overlook before they slash their calories again. So let's talk about that margin for error. Smaller bodies require less energy to live. So you have a smaller energy budget compared to someone who is a lot taller than you. This means that even a 200 to 300 calorie inconsistency in your day, like bites, licks, tastes, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, portion distortion, liquid calories that aren't accounted for, matter more. Things like having a completely untracked or unstructured weekend every single weekend, this can wipe out your entire deficit. And these small inconsistencies are the problem. And it's not that you are maybe you're not massively overeating or going overboard, but you can see how these tiny things make a big difference when you have a smaller calorie budget. So that's an understanding of the margin for error making a difference. Now let's talk about muscle and shape. If you are dieting without progressive strength training, you will lose weight, but you will not have the shape that you want. Also, when you lose weight without strength training, you're not just losing body fat, but you are losing muscle mass and bone density. Less muscle mass actually decreases the amount of calories that you expend in a day. And this is especially important if you're a woman and you're 40 plus, because our muscle mass already starts to reduce then anyway. So if you're in this category where it's reducing anyway and you're dieting without strength training, so it's reducing even more, this is going to reduce your daily calorie burn or your daily energy expenditure. When you strength train with dieting, not only are you going to increase your daily energy expenditure from more muscle, but you are going to see a faster visual change in shape. And this is going to be more motivating for you, sure. And it's probably more the result that you desire anyway, rather than a number on the scale. It's how your body actually looks and how it actually feels. If you're not resistance training, the visual change is going to be slower. And in reality, building muscle shouldn't be optional, regardless of whether you care about aesthetics, which I imagine most of you listening to this do. For health, we should be building muscle. Now, dieting on 1500 calories can feel easy or hard depending on how you build your meals. So if you're eating low protein, not really taking into account how much fiber or volume you're having, lots of processed or packaged foods, then you are going to be hungrier on 1500 calories. Usually when I start with working with women, they feel like they're eating so much more food than they used to be, when in reality, it's just the way that we're structuring and changing the meals that is helping them feel more full. So if you're not considering protein, fiber, whole foods, what usually happens is we tend to get hungry at night, because during the day you're busy, you can kind of distract yourself from that hunger, you get home, and this is where the nighttime snacking kicks in. So you've got no meal structure either, which leads to decision fatigue, which leads to that, oh, I'll just have a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of constant grazing. And this again makes a huge difference to your overall calorie intake. So it's not just the overall calories that matter, but what's really important is the meal structure and the meal timing. Now let's talk about how dieting reduces your subconscious movement. And this is important. You don't even realize you're doing it. So when you diet, your body does down regulate to match that energy that's coming in. So if you're not being aware of it, then naturally your steps start to lower. Fatigue leads to like just less fidgeting, and all the little things add up. As we talked about, the margin for error matters. Even if you're doing like daily classes or cardio but not looking at consistency of movement across the day or the week, this is going to impact your overall energy expenditure. And if we have a lower energy expenditure, even if we're eating 1500 calories, maybe you're not giving yourself a big of a margin, and lower movement is going to reduce your calorie buffer even more. And what happens when we get to that point where we feel like progress is slow or stalled? You have this gut instinct to cut your calories lower. It isn't an emotional reaction to not seeing the results you want straight away, or seeing a spike increase on the scale. What happens? We get into this cycle. You cut the calories lower. This leads to a lack of adherence because it's almost impossible to stick to that low calories. Then this leads to dieting fatigue and frustration. And this leads to, excuse my French, the fuck it bucket, where it becomes too hard basket. You have an overeating episode or a binge, or you think, oh, I'm just going to give myself the weekend and I'll start again on Monday. And then you're back into this perpetual cycle that you can't escape. And rather than acting emotionally when we don't see the scale move in the way that we want to, it's important to be strategic and give it time and look at other markers of progress that maybe you've been ignoring. This is like a change in your measurements, or more energy, or feeling fuller. Fat loss does not happen instantly. It takes time, and there will be some time. I've seen with clients who haven't seen a change on the scale for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and we don't change anything, and then we suddenly see a big drop. But I know had we not been working together, they would have just got trapped into that cycle. So it's really important to, as I say, react rather than react. Look at it strategically. And the answer is you probably do not need to drop your calories more, but you do need to understand where the leak might be. So we've covered different areas that you might be leaking, not leaking energy, but leaking progress, I guess. And this is where you need to know what area of the strategy needs to be tightened. A lot of the time it's guesswork rather than any proper assessment. Small inconsistencies matter for smaller bodies, and it's important to understand that it's not your fault, but it's really important to have a full awareness of all of the areas that might be derailing your progress or slowing down your progress before you cut your calories, before you follow that instinct to slash your calories. If you want to see how I structure nutrition for my clients in a way that helps create clarity, repeatability, ease without that extreme restriction, I will drop in the link for my flexible day framework into the notes, and you can pop your email in and download that. And that's it. I've covered why 1500 calories might not be working for you, even though it should. So Have a look at that framework, start implementing it, look at all of these areas and see if you can identify where the leak might be for you. And I will see you in next week's episode. Bye.